Program Committee Chairman Saji Matthew, and the HR Tech Committee member Rajesh for spearheading this program, along with Anish, who is the Secretary of NIPM. Those who don't know about NIPM is the national body of HR professionals in the country, and Kerala chapter is one of the highest performing chapters across the country. And kudos to the leadership teams of various times. And we have been we have been in the top consecutively for so many years. So this is a special series organized by the team to make sure that we are all engaged during this crisis, to make sure that we are all engaged with knowledge sharing during this crisis. So the current program is basically, which is called the new normal. So we know that, okay, we are passing through a very, very challenging time now. And you know that it is important that we navigate through this crisis without getting panic, because business need to move on. At the same time, we know that undeniably this is one of the most dangerous time we are passing through. I don't think any of us have seen this kind of a crisis in our lifetime, or will be able to see if we survive. The situation is so bad, but at the same time, there is a difference between danger and fear. There is nothing, you won't be able to handle the situation if you are afraid of things. Maybe that it is dangerous, but at the same time, we cannot be fearful if you really want to actually overcome the crisis. So I really appreciate the initiative of NIPM organizing these programs. This session is called, this is the third of its kind in the series, and this is called the talent sourcing through work from home. We all know that the complete working culture has completely changed in the last 1 month time. The crisis has actually put us in compulsion to do many things that we were not interested to do in the earlier times. So it's a time where we are really passing through a lot of difficulties. Many companies are hiring people. Many companies are actually asking people to go. And so that the talents are, in one corner, talents are so much available. In one place, talent is in scarcity. So a lot of challenges are happening at this point of time. And IBM thought that, okay, this could be one of the best topic for discussion. And we have with me our expert HR Tech Committee member, Ajesh, who is actually the, welcome Ajesh. I am not able to see Ajesh, but there, and Anish, who is the secretary of NIPM, and we have senior members and senior fellow members of NIPM, like Girish sir is there, Joy, the ex-president, is there, so ex-chairman. And I think a lot of senior members of NIPM and HR professionals are there in this group. So let me start with introducing the resource person of today, Mr. Achyut Menon. Achyut is actually the head of an organization called sorry, Options. Options is a company which is actually into executive search. Achyut is a very, very talented leader in the field of executive search and recruitment across the globe. I'm so impressed with the profile that he was, just to tell you in a nutshell that, okay, he is he's actually working across 61 countries. He can operate in more than 61 countries. And some of the major things that he is actually handling is that, one is that, okay, he handles or helping MNCs hiring Indians to set up their operations in their countries. At the same time, you're also helping Indian companies to set up, actually MNCs to set up in India, and Indian companies to set up their operations in other countries, where he is actually working in the turnkey way. And another thing is that he's collaborating with a lot of other recruiters across the globe, actually, to make sure that some kind of a, he call it as cross global work. That's what he called it as, some kind of a specialized category of talents across in a particular company, if they're operating in multiple countries and if they want specialized category employees, he's working on recruiting those kind of talents. So, and he is a good friend of mine, and also we are connected through another organization called BNI. And this organization, his organization is set up in Hyderabad, and it is actually operating across the country, across the globe, and is considered as one of the most well-known HR professional in social media. And even we know that, okay, Anish is our guru in social media in NIPM, correct? But Anish consider even Achyut as his guru. So you can just imagine
Absolutely.
that yeah, how competent is Achyut in the field of social media, and um, the capability of using social media and helping other organizations, other people to be more visible and credible in the social media, even though he is an HR professional. So we are with a very, very resourceful person in the field of recruitment and hiring. So with this introduction, I would like to actually start this session by asking Achyut that, Achyut, we know that, okay, we are passing through a very, very big challenge. There are various stakeholders when it comes to recruitment. You know that, okay, there are people, those who are hiring talents for their own business, like the business owners. We call it as the entrepreneurs or the companies that are hiring people. And in that itself, we have various segments of businesses, like manufacturing is there, IT is there, service industry is there. The second segment is basically the people, those who are supporting the activity of hiring, because hiring is one area where a majority of the companies, including even if they are capable of hiring people, they always depend upon the consultants. So the second group of people, those who are in the hiring process, is the consultants who are really, really helping organizations to get the right talents. The third group is the talent itself, because you know that, okay, the talent itself is spread across. So the other two are actually fighting for the talent available in the market. So uh, in this context of crisis, I would like to ask you that, okay, how do you evaluate the previous situation, the stage still, or a month before, or even 2 months before? What was the earlier situation, and how do you see the challenge is going to impact the recruitment and hiring process in this in the coming days, and also the complete change in the work from home? How is it going to impact the entire process of recruitment? So over to you, Achyut.
Hey, thank
Welcome
you,
to the
Anil,
program.
for the long introduction. And I must thank NIPM for this opportunity. And Anish is a fellow traveler in the social media. I must confess that I got into recruitment 26 years back, 27 years back, when there was no social media, when there was no LinkedIn, there was no Google, there was no internet, there was no mobile phone. And I personally feel that if I have been able to transition from all those periods, it's primarily because I've been fortunate enough to reinvent myself each time. And so, in compared to that, the COVID times which we are right now is not so problematic, or something to be feared about. So, what I thought I'll share today is my experience over the last 25 years. I feel recruitment has changed primarily because business has changed. Okay, um, if I were to kind of put the context right, then probably you will probably get the better idea of where I'm coming from. We've seen from industrial revolution to information revolution, and now a networking revolution. We've seen on the supply side, people used to join a company and had lifetime employment. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen people changing jobs once in 3 or 4 years. And now we are at the onset of what is called a gig economy, or a freelancer economy. So this is a very unique time because we've seen lots of disruptions happening thanks to technology, thanks to globalization, and a whole lot of government regulations across the world. So if I were to put the context right, work is changing, workers are changing, and workplace is changing. So if and to kind of dive deep, when you say work, we did have initially multinational companies starting on their own. Then you had in terms of joint ventures. Now, offshoring has happened. On-site businesses have happened. So on one side, the work is changing. In terms of the worker, we've seen this transition from people changing their careers, I mean, changing jobs to now changing careers. Workplace, this is a new thing which we've come across. Earlier, we used to only have permanent employers, and then the contract employees have started coming. And now, thanks to this particular thing, we also think in terms of remote working. So personally, I don't think uh, things were any different 3 months back. Most of the HR companies were forced to adopt work from home thanks to COVID. Okay, probably had reasons to delay it, or probably had reasons to get a bigger buy-in. But the last 1 month where lockdowns have happened, whether you like it or not, the companies have had to adopt it. And I must say that there's been a tremendous improvement across industries, though a lot of non-IT companies are even right now focusing on safety and hygiene of the employee. So they still haven't really come across in terms of looking at productivity. Okay, the IT companies were able to kind of hit the ground running by equipping all the employees to start working from home, by probably having infrastructure being placed. Some companies I know had rented out laptops to kind of get the people get going. There were still, even now as I speak, there are some complaints in terms of network issues and connectivity issues. But that's broadly the technology part. There are companies, I mean, I'm tempted to even say BNI, okay, has been a worldwide organization which has taken to training its employees quickly to adapt to using technology. But I've been, as a preparation for this, like I told you, my connection to NIPM or Anish has been primarily to social media, and social media has been my window to the world. So including this, once I got the opportunity to share this insights, I did crowdsource my information with a lot of colleagues in the business, CEOs, HR professionals in India, abroad, small and medium businesses, corporates across IT and different industries. So I just wanted to quickly tell you that there has been hiring going on. There are companies which have made offers. A waste management company that I'm client with has even decided to give a digital offer letter to ensure people are onboarded. The techie companies, they even configured laptops at home so that people can work together. So broadly, 90-95% of IT company people are on the road to process. But the primary issue is all these companies have at the moment only reacted to the COVID, and we're all hoping that it's a temporary phase till end of April 15th, after which we will know how serious COVID is and stuff like that. So I assume that post that, companies will start responding to it. Already, when I was talking to pharmaceutical companies, they made some changes thanks to social distancing. Only half the employees are coming to work, say 3 days a week, keeping that social distancing and hygiene kind of an issue. They've also been trying to made adjustments in their transport, which buses used to transport 20 people are now transporting only 5-6 people. At the moment, most of the HR is only worried about safety to the employees, but smaller and medium enterprises have been wondering about how to manage this trust issue. Can people work without supervision? Can people work out of their side? Okay, while the bigger companies have made training programs and engaging people, HR tech is available, has been able before COVID, but I think the last 1 month we have seen more adoption of HR technologies and people taking to Zoom. It has affected certain industries positively. EduTech industry is one particular industry is zooming with registrations because more people have been registering for online courses. So I personally feel, yes, business is as usual, but a whole lot of new projects have been kept on hold because of the uncertainty.
Okay.
I would, let me just complete one more point, Anil, so that the context is right. So my experience over the last 25, 30 years is post-COVID is when we really understand the exact impact. And I personally feel, I mean, ironically, India had got a 21-day lockout. And it's normally said that 21 days of anything makes or breaks a habit. So I have a feeling more and more people are now getting used to the uh, facility of working at home. And sooner or later, it's not only the company which decides to call the shots, but I have a feeling there would be employees who will decide to be wanting a little more flexibility in their jobs. They would probably start preferring jobs which give them opportunity to work from home occasionally, if not longer. And so that's where I see a challenge for all HR professionals to readjust post-COVID. So as of now, business is as usual, and we're just about getting used to the changes.
Okay. Thank you, Achyut. I think Ajesh is also in. So welcome, Ajesh. Ajesh, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
thank you, sir. I was facing some connectivity issues.
Yeah, welcome to the.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you back.
I really
Yeah, thank you.
appreciate you for the excellent efforts and how you put it together to actually make these things happen.
Yeah.
So, Achyut, coming back to you, so you know that okay, the kind of the new normal right now is becoming the working from home. So working from home is a challenge for everyone, not only for the employers, but also even for the employees, because how to actually get aligned to the working from home activities. There are so many things connected with that, not only the talent or the skill alone, but also the technology. Everything is actually connected when it comes to working from home. So, and many companies have got different views about this. You are operating in more than 60 plus countries. So, can you please throw some light
I didn't get your
on
last
this?
sentence, Anil. Can you just repeat? I just lost you.
Yeah, you are operating in more than 60 countries.
Right.
So, this working from home as a challenge, how do you see this as a challenge to the recruitment process and the hiring process across industries or any particular industry?
Right. See, I think it's a little too early in terms of to compare India with abroad, because in terms of while we have been a developing nation, I think even now, I mean, we have adjusted very well in the last 1 month in terms of having to work at home, because I still feel a majority of people have connectivity issues and do not have the comfort of working in from home. Okay, because I mean, we are all thrown into a very unprecedented this thing where all the entire family is at home, and so the wife, the children, and most of us do not have the luxury of having an independent work office, home office as yet in India because of our demographic kind of thing. If I were to compare the same thing with the Western world, things are a lot more organized there, and I feel there's been a discipline over years, which has probably given them the ability to be self-motivated and get to work. We in India still have issues. I have a few friends on this call who are um, SMEs and running small businesses, and their issue has been to get measure work, which is happening right now, and productivity issues. And I also have talked to the head of operations of a IT company. They said they have spent a lot of time enabling people in soft skills. Okay, how to because earlier people just needed to, you just went across the desk and could influence a person. Now all the influencing will have to happen on the phone or a video call, and there's a big issue about how do you oversee some person who is out of your sight. Okay, there are lots of HR companies which are doing some gaming issues. They're having virtual coffee sessions. They probably have virtual exercises also. Even our NIPM, the first day of the seminar, we had a yoga expert coming and telling us how to do yoga while sitting in the chair. So I guess the adoption of HR technology has been good, but in terms of attitude, in terms of behavioral issues, we probably are still waiting for this temporary phase to go through. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to give you a very concrete example of.
That's okay, because
Okay, sir.
see,
Okay.
the thing is that none of us are competent enough to give any concrete solution for the current crisis until it is settled.
So I have a
So,
question here. I have a question here.
yeah.
So now, how to thrive the talent sourcing of this environment of rapid technological changes, especially in the sourcing?
Yeah, so I think I've been working from home for last 7-8 years, and I used to have an organization which I had employed 18 people, and like I said earlier, the work has been changing and the workplace worker has been changing, and I've personally found that I'm a lot more dependent on networking with other professionals and collaborating with a lot more people. And the organization that I'm part of with Anil here and Suman and Pradeep and other people is, Vishwanath also is there. Okay, BNI has been a network, worldwide global organization, and they have actually drilled home the point for networking, working together in teams, and depending on complementary skills. So I've only extended that into my work because as a part of an international recruiting network, I've been fortunate to be connected to over 500 partners across 60 countries. Even the team which is here from Turkey, a couple of them are there. Not only are they recruiters, but we also we complement them in terms of other HR professionals. We have a trainer there in between. There's an assessment person, there's a coach, there's an outplacement person. And even in headhunting, we have specialists who handle executive search, middle management, and contingent search. So more than ever, it's not what we individually do, but how we can come together and collaborate to create a bigger impact. Technology is there. Technology has always been there, but I think it's more a mindset change. And so there are enough examples to showcase. I'll probably come to you as we come to towards the end of the success stories. Yeah.
So when you are associating with the people who are sitting in different countries, how you manage the sourcing time, the tactful sourcing when you are associating with the people who are sitting other countries, how you manage?
Right. So we have collaborated, like I told you, but you'll be surprised that we now have multiple time zones, and these time zones have been to our advantage. For instance, one of our partners in US would have picked up the order in the morning and would have decided to do a sourcing plan, and he has a remote sourcing team sitting off in Manila and in India. And when the American goes back home, India and Manila have started working, and by the time the American is back at office, we've taken advantage of. The turnaround time is actually, if I were to say 100% or whatever, I don't know how to put it in terms of the thing, because there is no lag at all. Because and you'll be surprised with the kind of skill sets, distributed teams we've got. When Australia is waking up, when America is sleeping, Australia is waking up. So there are seamless opportunities to integrate the supply chain, so to say, if we talk about sourcing.
Okay, I think this answered the Mandeep Sibia's question. Mandeep was asking about this particular time management of sourcing when you are associating with the other country associates.
Yeah, I think we as a team, we are much more productive than perhaps if I had a team in Hyderabad, because by the time we go and sleep and come back, the work is done right now.
Yeah. In terms of passive job seekers, how you manage the database? How you expanding the database of passive job seekers?
Okay, let me kind of tell you the concept of database is a little outdated. Especially now what's happening is I feel in the last 10-15 years, most corporates have reduced their dependence on third-party recruiters. Most of them, it's a cost issue because even as I was talking to a manufacturing company this morning, 70% of their hires is probably done by the internal recruitment team. 20% is probably done through referrals, again, depending on the internal network. It's only 10% which comes outside to third-party recruiters like us. So like Anil Kumar referred to earlier, okay, the kind of assignments that most of us third-party consultants get, we have to find talent that companies can't find themselves. So the complexity of the role is becoming much more difficult. So any low-lying fruit would have been already reached out by the internal team. Okay. So now the challenge for us is to identify people who are great performers, doing excellently well in their jobs, and who need to be identified, nudged, and encouraged to apply for nursing. So the skills which are required is no longer a kind of a resume pusher or so the database is, yes, it's, I would say it's, the shelf life is pathetic. Okay. And I mean, even in India, if you were to now advertise, for any job, if I had to put project manager, I'll be overwhelmed with the responses. Over 1,000 responses will come. It's simply impossible for us to go through 1,000 resumes and have the patience to identify the 10 right people and do it. So it's not about the quantity of data. Okay, it's the quality of the data, and so database per se is probably passé. Okay, I would feel that our job as recruiters is to identify people who are not looking for job, give them a compelling story to look at the opportunity we are doing. So I'm sure there are other recruiters here. We have equipped ourselves thanks to HR tools. There are quite a lot of free HR tools and paid ones, which will help us identify people from LinkedIn or if it's IT in terms of GitHub and Stack Overflow. These are people who are extremely good in software, who are who is trying to do, who are nerds, who want to be associated with the kind of work they do. We go and head on people from Kaggle, that data scientists from Kaggle. If it's designer, we go to specific thing called Behance. So there are various social media sites, and we try and unearth them through a lot of what do you call
the talent,
scraping the net.
Yeah. So the engagement, both the job seekers and the jobs, the hunters and searchers is very important. The engaging them, the passive job seekers and as well as the organization need to be engaged. You need to do the engagement as well as connecting with them regularly, right, sir?
Right, absolutely. So I mean, as a result, like what has happened is it's not the ordinary. I mean, if you were to look at an active job seeker and a passive job seeker, the active job seeker will respond for all kinds of jobs. You just release an ad, okay, you will find unemployed people, you'll find underemployed people, you'll find unhappy people. They probably are not the people that you need, okay, to take your company from one level to the other. So the passive job seekers, so to say, aren't even looking at our ads. Okay, they are not even responding to emails sent to us. So we, as a recruiter, now have to instead of trying to do that push strategy, we are now, the better recruiters are now working on pull strategy, and that I feel is an array of issues, right from employer branding to brand equity to building talent pools. We are trying to become an expert, a subject matter expert, so that an employee looks at you to guide him for his career path. Okay, so we are using all these tools, newsletters to reach out and stay connected.
Yeah, these are the methodologies you are using, newsletters.
Yeah. So if you take newsletters, and if you notice in the last few months, thanks to Facebook Live and LinkedIn Live, a lot of us who are actually promoting self-promoted gurus, who are trying to be sharing information to build their own captive audience, who they are able to engage with the hope to influence when there is an opportunity. So we are actually building a pipeline so that at any point of time, we are able to engage it. You'll be surprised out of the 500 recruiters that I'm part of. Most of us are specialists. So which means now if any of my clients need a legal professional in say Australia, my associate there is a lawyer by profession who has been into recruitment for 20 years. And
Okay.
he's got a network, extended network, both professionally and personally. And he's able to have a database, he's a network of people who are in the contract part, who are in the litigation part, who are corporate side, who are in legal firms.
Okay.
So in terms of, and who are engaged. So the point is, it's a no-brainer when compared to the old economy thing where you posted and prayed. You posted a job and wait for candidates to apply and then go through thousands of responses, and then hope that you get the right kind of person. Here, the focus is reach out to a very accomplished target, give him a good story, and get him abroad. So I think recruitment has changed, and technology has helped, and we are all trying to upgrade and upskill. Even now, I mean, just to kind of give you an update for the last 2 weeks, I have, even though I have, SHRM has probably told that I am the top 5, top 20 HR influencers 5 times out of the last 6 years. I know my knowledge of LinkedIn has been outdated because LinkedIn, ever since has been taken over by Microsoft, the algorithms have changed. I have 20,000 connections, but if I post a job today, post, only 5 likes. What's happening to the remaining 19,000 people or 20,000 people? So I have actually enrolled for a course to improve my knowledge of LinkedIn by following influencers. So we have now, the education is at 2 levels. One is the basic, advanced, basic thing which everybody has access to, and then we have to build our own mentors, and we have to build our own people from whom we can learn. So I think that's been the major difference. It's not a single answer. Sorry.
Yeah. Yesterday, Rajalakshmi was mentioning that shelf life of our skills. We need to reskill, right?
Absolutely. So that's one thing which is I see as a major thing when the not only shelf life of skills, even in terms of the tenure that people are now being with the employer. During the time when there was lifetime employment, it was the employer who decided what kind of skills to be imparted. So, I mean, my dad probably worked in one organization for 35 years. Every 3 years, he was trained to take on the next position. But in my generation, people started changing jobs once in 3-4 years. But I'm sure my daughter or that generation will want to work with, I mean, for them, they are upskilling themselves, and they'll only choose which employer to work, which skill to work, where to work, whether to work part-time or full-time. So the choice of the job has shifted from the employer to the employee. So also because of the skill sets, you'll be surprised. When I was talking to the lady called Mary Faulkner, who is an SHRM person from US, she was saying that the future of jobs is changing, and it's no longer going to be job families, but skill sets. We are now looking at people who have, earlier we used to have generalists who were ready to hit the ground running, but now we are looking at the career is becoming a kind of a T-shape. You have to be a specialist in one particular industry, and at the same time you must have a broad experience in the kind of functions you have. And going forward, we probably have a pie-shaped kind of a career where you have to be good. So I mean, if you look at people in the IT industry, would say it's not only good enough if you're in Java and your domain is say financial services, but if you have a foreign language like Japanese, you are more valued than everybody else. So today, skills are the currency. Okay. Tenure is not. So.
Sir, your organization Options is extending various hiring solutions like executive search, turnkey assignments, elastic recruitment, and outplacement, recruitment audit, recruitment training. As a freelancer for the client or organization, how you are responsible for employer brand equity? How you are doing this? Employer equity as a freelancer, how you are doing this?
Okay, let me confess, it's a matter of survival. Okay, so you have to, is survival the fittest, and one has to constantly be relevant in these kind of situations. Okay, so I mean, if you look at the last 1 month, the last thing companies, HR people are worried about is hiring. They are right now looking at the safety of the existing employees and motivating that person. So I would feel hiring as a question for next 3 months is out. Okay. If at all they have any kind of concern in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, it is how do we reduce the burden on the financial thing. And I must tell you, there are companies already making lists of people whom to lay off. So as a recruiter, if I'm going to depend only on recruitment, there's no way I'll sustain. So therefore, I try and transplant the skills as a recruiter to try and see how I can add value to my stakeholders, if it's the client or the candidate. So the two issues which you mentioned, one was outplacement and second was elastic recruitment. They're more innovative. I'll just elaborate.
What is that elastic recruiting, sir?
Elastic recruiting is something which has started about 5-6 years back, because there is a cost to hiring. Okay, typically abroad, the cost of hire is almost the recruitment consultants are paid 2 to 3 months of a salary. Okay, so only the large companies can afford to pay that kind of money. The smaller and medium enterprises hesitate to pay 2 to 3 months salary. I mean, it's a little different in India because we still have a 1 month salary. So here what happens is, here Elastic is basically, it's on-demand service where we give expert hiring, and this stretches based on the need and the budget of the client. For example, now we'll take a person like Anish. He's a specialist. And a lot of companies today, either startups or mid-sized companies, even if you take 250 size company, they also need people. Okay, but and they need people more than say Amazons or Facebooks or the Googles. And unfortunately, everybody is competing with the best talent in these big companies. So a small and medium enterprise or even a 250 company can afford to have only 1 or 2 at best HR people. And so this HR person is primarily focused on end-to-end thing, right from payroll, admin, and recruitment. So they are not, if they without a sharp knife, they're impossible to fight with the competition. So what we have done in the Elastic Recruiting, we have built a network of expert recruiters who are rented out to companies for finding the people. So just take an issue like, say we have Anish who's got over 20 years of industry experience. Now he's normally not available for any company as an employment kind of a thing. But based on his knowledge, expertise, he might need to spend only 15 hours. So I will hire or I'll give Anish, the client, a choice of hiring Anish, and we break down the recruitment into 4 or 5 different pieces. I mean, while it's end to end, actually there are 4 or 5 verticals. You have scoping, which is basically the job description part. Then you have the sourcing part. Then they have a screening part, and then the selection. Now, often most companies have the bandwidth for at least 2 out of those 3, 2 out of those 4. So they need only help in say scoping or say sourcing, to identify people they wouldn't have got. So it's a win-win situation for both a person like Anish, where he can still work with the clients that he wants and the complexity of the job he does, and the employers also can have a cost-effective solution. So that's what is Elastic Recruitment. Basically, hiring a new business model.
Organization is paying for what he is doing.
Yes.
If it is doing the job description, we are paying for that. If he is screening, we are paying for that, not for the entire process.
Correct.
Right.
So in terms of cost, if you were to say, if you look at if same job, if it was in say America, and if you had to hire somebody of $100,000, they had to pay the recruitment consultant 20%, which is $20,000. Instead, if they were to hire Anish for 15 hours and pay him even $200 per hour, the total cost would be only $3,000. So whereas they would have spent 20,000 in a normal condition. So there's so we have a bunch of rock star recruiters who are specialists in functions, industry, levels, and location, whom you can hire. It's almost like your Uber or Netflix. You don't have to own a car today. I want to go from one place to another place. I just call up Uber and get the vehicle. And I can choose to, if I want to impress somebody, I can choose to take a bigger car, or if I go to a smaller place, I'll probably take a sedan. Same thing. It's Uberization coming into recruitment. We call it Elastic Recruitment.
When you are working from the home, how you build your brand, and how it's affect your team members' productivity, your productivity? your organization's productivity when we are working from home? Can you give us some insight on that? How it does affect our productivity?
See, I personally feel, again, it's a matter of survival. Okay,
Okay.
today the whole, I mean, it's become a habit. Our whole society is, run with the laws and methods are essentially a matter of custom, not the thing. Now, for example, if anything that I want today, I Google. So if for any solution, be it if I have a stomach ache, if I want to buy something, or if I want to hire a consultant, everything
Okay.
I go to Google and search. If
Okay.
so, what happens if I'm Googleable? I'm
Okay.
alive. If I'm not Googleable, I don't exist. Okay. So
Okay.
if
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
so it's a lesson for all of us, not only businessmen, but
Uh,
also
uh,
employees.
uh,
If you are not in the first page of Google or the second page of Google,
uh,
God bless you, because Google keep giving you, thousands of pages. So
uh,
it's a choice, options choice, I would say, for everybody. We all, each one of us has to invest in employer branding or personal branding, if you were to say.
okay.
And if that doesn't motivate you, I don't think anything will motivate you. And it's a question of if you either are Googleable or you become extinct.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
I would like to know how you are understanding the client. Basically, your engagement model as a freelancer. How we need to develop a model for engagement the client and the delivery approach. We would like to know that the tact of a freelancer and how we are engaging the client, how we are engaging the both client, our organization as well as the job seekers.
Okay, so one thing which we have to realize is, as a freelancer, most of us do one thing good, that's operations. But in today's world, we need somebody else to partner with. We need somebody who can market us. We need somebody who can get us the orders, and we need somebody who can be kind of doing a little bit of outsourcing. So I personally feel my drive has been because I've been partnering with a whole lot of other similar minded professionals who also are in the same path, and we are it's a matter of networking. We are collaborating, we are complementing each other. If
Okay.
I'm collaborating with a person who has got bigger strengths than me, and that's the only way you can add value to both clients and candidates, because as an individual, we probably really can't exist beyond a particular thing. So the future of work is personal branding, is networking, is collaborating, okay, and building relationship.
Yeah,
I was
then
just reading.
yeah, then this question is coming, sir. The tactics for recruiters to survive in this COVID scenario or post-COVID scenario. What will be the tips or tactics for freelancers or recruiters?
Yeah, so I think I'm assuming you're talking about recruiters who are third-party recruiters, not
Yeah,
corporate recruiters. Okay,
yeah, correct, correct,
okay,
sir.
okay.
Yeah.
Because corporate recruiters are safer now, though
Uh,
they'll probably they'll need to enhance their skills, go out. I mean, go
uh,
beyond just sourcing, but to become a talent advisor and become a
uh,
subject matter expert.
uh,
Internally, the internal recruiter will have to be an advisor to the hiring manager and influence that person, kind of a thing. But as far as third-party recruiters are concerned, we essentially have to, we have to be a little more market savvy. We have to be anticipating what are the industry changes which are happening. So if today IT is not hiring, or maybe service industry is hiring, okay, maybe edutech is hiring, I will probably need to kind of figure out which are the companies which are hiring and transplant some of my skills and be at the best of my ability. For example, even some of the recruiters, like I told you about the legal person, there are lots of people who are specialists only on IT. And even in IT, we have people who are focused only on IT product hiring, and some are focused on IT services hiring. And
okay.
and what is happening in the last 2-3 years? Suddenly, some jobs are becoming redundant. I mean, I was just talking to a HR manager of a Pune-based company. They actually
Okay.
laid off close to 30 testers of their company because they realized that they would be better off paying the developer a little more because most of the testing anyway is done by automated testing tools. Okay, so you don't need a, so jobs are changing, new jobs are coming up. Today, I mean, if you were to look at, there was a thing called after sales service many years back. Okay, because at that point of time, you sold a product to the to a customer, and he was your lifelong customer. But today, ever since you have SaaS model, every month the customer has a choice whether to renew the subscription or not. And so the after sales job is gone. It's now called customer success as a job.
Okay.
So the job, the nature of job has changed. The skill sets are changing. So as a recruiter, I need to be understanding business. I need to understand the life cycle of growth of the particular client. And then I have to probably dump that client and go to another client or change the industry. So we as recruiters need to be a lot more agile and reactive and proactive in terms of understanding which are the hiring demand, anticipating demands. Like I said, told about the example of Anish, whether we can actually, we must think of new business models. Can you reduce the price till what level? Okay, can you collaborate and then improve the TAT? Okay, that Elastic recruitment is one example where we were forced to offer a new offering.
Sir, can you tell us? We have a question from Vishal. He is asking about what are the how we can do the upskilling. What are the courses? I think he is asking about skilling.
Oh yeah, I mean, in fact, I think yesterday Mr. Rajesh Kumar did a excellent anchoring for the second webinar in the series, and we had Rajalakshmi who was speaking, and she was authority on learning and development. So she did mention about how most companies have put all their learning as learning management systems and gone digital. Okay, and so it's the choice of the employee to decide to upskill himself. There is content available. Okay, there is a lot of online management learning systems which are available within the company, which people can log in and study at their own pace. And that, I think, it's the prerogative of the employee. Nobody is going to force him to do those courses on his own. Nobody's going to give him certification, but it's in her or his own interest to learn. And I was actually talking to another pharmaceutical HR head today who said that yes, learning management systems are on web, but today, last 1 month, a lot of employees have not been able to log in because of the network issues. So as soon as we start working full time, we are going to migrate some of the learning management system from web to what can be available on mobile. So you'll be surprised that a mobile programmer who can do hybrid development, Android and Apple or something, will be more skilled and will be higher paid than any other developer. So as a recruiter, I need to understand the hierarchy of jobs, hierarchy of skills, and understand that we probably would have to look at not the mediocre people, which people are available, but we'll chase people who are investing in learning. So there are several online courses, both paid and unpaid, and there's no excuse for any of us not to upgrade ourselves.
Okay. Sir, how you are using your communication channels to develop your database or develop your brand, develop your productivity? Can you give some highlights on this, sir? What are the platforms you are using, basically?
Oh, I mean, I'll probably take the example of BNI here, Business Networking International, which is a 30-year-old organization. And I thought a lot of people were old economy people who hadn't taken to technology. But you'll be surprised in the last 3 weeks, at the speed at which they adopted to online, the entire organization, which has about over 2.5 lakhs of members across the world, have suddenly started behaving online. And you'll be amazed. It's a several tier system. The company has set, not only got HR tools available, they have trained trainers to educate the people. So
Yeah.
I would feel HR techs are enough of tools available, paid, free, etc. All you have to do is Google. There's nothing that Google knows that, no, nothing that I know that Google doesn't know. But I would feel as a human HR person, our job is to manage the aspirations of the people and motivate them and attend to the behavioral things. Technology is available, tools are there. Okay.
Okay.
The idea is how to not only engage our people and influence them to be their best version of themselves. There's no
Okay.
choice. Okay. There is
Okay,
no
sir.
free lunch.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Sir, Anil sir, I think we are running short of time. We are talking to 7:30. So the participants can
Yeah,
ask questions. Yeah.
the questions are continuous. I have one more thing to ask you that, okay, in this context, from the recruiter point of view, are you seeing any expectation difference by the recruiters to the company and the candidates to the companies when it comes to, for example, is there any expectation difference?
I would feel that all of you know about LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn
Yes.
founder Reid Hoffman has written a series of books. It's a must read for any of the HR professionals. Okay, the startup of you is a book where he talks about branding yourself. The earlier book which he wrote was about alliance. He said no longer is the employer who calls the shots or employee who calls the shots. Today, it's an engagement, it's an alliance. Employees stay with the employer as long as they find value. And similarly, employers hold on to the employees as long as they find value in the employee. And so it's an amazing story. And a lot of HR people on this, I would advise you to read it. There's something called a tour of duty, which he alludes to.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's essentially driving home the point of lifelong learning. Okay. So I think all you just need to do is Google and they are there.
What is your feel about the companies expecting anything more from the recruiters right now, the consultants, recruitment consultants, the client?
Absolutely, because like I told you in the initial stage, okay, we in India are still having issues in terms of totally adopting work from home because of the infrastructure and the kind of home comfort level. So, believe it or not, it's only a matter of time when they start doing manpower audit and probably identifying which set of jobs can be outsourced, which can be done internally, and even decide to, just as we are helping them to hire people, we'll probably need to do like how you do it in chartered accountants, do the audit of the organizations and tell you which are the blind spots, financial blind spots of the company. So I think as the companies are expecting the recruiter to go beyond just pushing resumes, but to becoming a talent advisor. They have the ability to understand the demand and supply. They have the ability to influence people beyond their network. And I think if today a company will depend on recruiters to have an extensive network and find them talent they can't find themselves.
I think Jitin has a question here. Jitin.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Ajesh. Hello, sir. This is Jitin. Sir, my query is regarding a trend which I saw today in our discussion, our team's discussion. So today morning we had a article in Economic Times stating that this work from home setup is going to stay even after this COVID outbreak is over. So today morning we had an interesting discussion in our HR team where few of the people managers were quite happy with the productivity of team in this work from home approach. And this came out as a debate and in our talent team where we ended up deciding that we had an issue because we were in Calicut and there were difficult challenges in hiring resources from different locations like Bangalore and bringing them to Calicut. So far we were, so much struggling to bring them here. So today our talent head and some of the people manager jointly while we had a discussion, the surprising thing came is that now we are going to hire people who are even saying they are ready to work from their home full time on a
Okay,
full time basis.
I think your company is actually on the spot because I've got a client who contacted me 1 month before COVID happened. It's a Chennai-based company which is into publishing. They have over 1,000 employees which is into publishing for US. They have a 100-member IT team. They need to be, the IT needs to be really at the cutting edge technology because their business depends on it. But from Chennai, they were finding it extremely difficult to find the kind of talent that they wanted because the good talent doesn't want to go to Chennai. They want to work in Hyderabad or Bangalore. And they had to pay almost 40-50% to attract people in Chennai. And even though they came to Chennai, they would probably go back as soon as they got another offer. So believe me, they had actually reached out to me saying that, I mean, Anil, I was talking about, they were looking at me as a hiring consultant. They're trying to tell me, how do you solve a problem? So we kind of came about where we said, okay, now that you understand the technology and that's a no-brainer, you have to hire the technology for the sustenance of your business. Now we'll hire people where they are there. We don't need to get them to Chennai. So believe me, we had started hiring in the sense we have put the rolling out. We looked at people in Hyderabad, in Pune, in Gurgaon, and we had even advised the company to start a co-working space in each of these places where if you find five members, we get those 5 members to the local co-working office and then outsource it from Chennai. That's the way. So, I mean, COVID put a stop to that, I'm sure, but I'm sure this particular thing will change the way we are hiring. We will hire talent where they are. We don't need to get them to our on-site. And that is going to be a great leveling program. Also, if you were to look at, I was talking to the venture capitalist, a classmate of mine, and she said, look, this is a great opportunity to get a whole lot of young women back to workforce. People who have recently married, they probably have 4-5 years of industry experience, but because of societal reasons, they have to manage a kid and the home and they actually put their career for a pause mode for almost 10 years.
Okay.
They can now, there's no need for them to work 8 hours a day. If they probably even put in 4 hours and work from home, that's a fantastic pool to dip into. And they are motivated. They want to stay connected. Okay. Another thing, the retirement age. Okay. In the past, when we have the retirement to 60, that was the context then was most of the job was physical. At the age of 60, a person actually became a lot less effective. But over the last 20 years, because of technology and the thing, and the kind of work also has now become more intellectual and the thing, it will be a shame if you offload a person because he's 60, because with the average lifespan going up to 75 and 80, most people can work actually up to 70. Okay. And you can give them an option of work from home. What is the sanctity of giving a retirement for 60 when he's at the peak of his age?
Okay.
You don't need him for 8 hours. A guy at 60 can work with 4 hours, can be more effective than a 22-year-old with 8 hours of supervision.
Sir, here, Smita have a question. How would we go on finding selection without a face-to-face discussion? In this scenario, can we go for that, or we need to do a face-to-face discussion?
Yeah, who asked the question? Smita.
Smita A. Smita, am I correct, or you can directly ask the question?
Smita, where are you? Which part of the world are you?
Hi, sir. The question is what we're feeling currently. Like many of the candidates which we have conducted the final interviews, we are keeping on hold due to this scenario because we cannot take any chance on few positions. So technical rounds, 2-3 rounds we normally do, and this situation we are all doing it as a Skype discussion or Zoom interaction. So still we have a kind of feeling like people can go for. So I just sort of having a question on that part, like how.
No, I think we are still living in a time warp. Okay, now which part of the country are you in, Smita?
I am at very much in Kerala.
Kerala. Okay, I am based in Hyderabad, and I have a associate who 2 associates who have turned in from Turkey. Imagine if all the 4 of us had to be under one roof. Okay, it would have had to be planned 4 or 5 months in advance. and certainly not in COVID times. Okay, so but aren't we communicating? Okay, so
Yeah,
I think, I mean, I'm reading a book right now by John Maxwell. He says people communicate, but very few connect. Okay, so I don't think even if you talk about, there was a misnomer. As soon as COVID came, we talk about social distancing. It is not social distancing. It is physical distancing, but with more engagement. So I see no reason why you should be actually holding your hiring decisions right now, especially when you have done all the technical interviews. And even if you were to make an offer today, it would take the person at least a couple of months to serve out the notice period. And hopefully by then, COVID would have gone and they'll hit the ground running. So I would feel that please talk to your hiring manager, please talk to your management and say, yes, there's no sanctity about having a physical person. Okay. Even this video interview is good enough to communicate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suman has got a question. Suman?
First of all, AK, I think I enjoyed your session thoroughly. There's such a different perspective to the current times that you gave. My question to you is, companies are reacting so differently to the current situation. For example, Timken has given their employees a 50% wage cut, whereas Cognizant has given 25% wage hike. And you just met a company in Chennai which has let off few people. Now, as a hiring HR person, what would your advice be to the employees who come to you and ask you for your advice on where they should go, how they should skill themselves, how they should remain relevant in the business ecosystem?
Yeah, see, all said and done, it's about the value you bring into your employer. Nobody is in business for charity. Okay. So I'm sure one of the harsh reality is.
May I interrupt for a moment, please? They have cut across the company. For example, Timken across the company has taken a beating of a 50% wage cut.
Correct.
Cognizant across the company. So talent cannot be the reason, unless I am totally
Correct.
wrong.
But what is the other choice? The Timken could have either sacked 50% of people or paid 50% to employees. As a HR person, which one would you prefer?
The second one, pay
Right.
50%, yes.
Yeah, so Timken is a part of the ecosystem. I would like to believe that their fortunes depend on the automotive industry, and that could probably do with the global economy. There are a lot of companies which have had to have given forecasts that over the next 2-3 years they don't see any growth. So, but as they're responsible to the stakeholders in terms of investors or employees, they stop. They don't see any improvement in the top line. So the only other option is to concentrate on the bottom line. The choice is either you cut the employee cost by either slashing a certain amount of people or slashing the salary of certain people. And I'll tell you one more example. Coming back to Ramki, which is a waste management company. I was talking to the HR head today and wanted to know how has he been able to implement the work from home. He said, no, 70% of our staff is on the field because we have 70 sites and our job is we have a contract with different state governments to clear up the garbage. And so he says all their employees on the field have to now risk their lives and go into on the field. And so their chairman has announced a 200 rupees extra allowance per day. Okay, that's an additional cost to the company. They're not going to get it from the business, but they are looking forward. They say that, okay, if these employees were not to go, there's no way a HR person could have influenced the person about the safety. If those garbage stuff remains on the ground, it's a bigger hazard for society, the bigger hazard for government, bigger repercussion on the company's profitability. So companies are now rewarding certain skills, certain people. So and where is that money going to come from? They'll probably discover some other support services, maybe some other employees who are not tying up their laces. Okay, they're not paying, they're not adding value to what they're paid. And I mean, you have to reward the people who perform. There's no choice unless you've got another solution. Where else will you get the money from?
Yeah, I think I should. I think we are running out of time, and I'm so excited because the number of questions and also the doubts are huge. I think this is not sufficient enough to answer all the questions. I think one more session, part 2, is required for you to finish all
Wait,
the.
Anish, if somebody can make a copy of those things, I'll try and answer them
I think,
offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
those who have got the
We are
doubts,
recording it, Anil, so we'll send.
I think you can actually get in touch with Achyut. Achyut, if you can share your contact details by telling that your contact number or even
No,
email.
I'm Googleable. Okay.
You are
Our
like
social media.
Just go to
internet.
Google. Achyut
You
Menon.
like this-
Okay.
Yeah, it is already there. It's already there. So I think participants, excellent participation and excellent questions. I think it speaks about the wealth of knowledge that you have, Achyut, on the HR related aspect, including not only the recruitment, but also about the business perspective of talent acquisition and talent management. And it speaks about how strategic you are in your business as a consultant, recruitment consultant. So the end-to-end process that you follow is really strategic and a well-learned recruitment consultant, I would say. And I think no doubt that people like you will continue to survive in any kind of crisis, because you have the
No.
extra power,
It's nothing. I
the
mean, if
extra power to
nothing.
continue. I think a lot of things to learn from you.
No, it's a
So
takeaway for everybody, all of us. We are not,
exactly.
we may be HR people, but I think we need to understand business. And the
Exactly.
faster we understand business and faster we understand the impact on that, the more valuable we get.
See,
So
the
honestly,
thing
I'm
is
not a
that
HR guy. I was a sales guy. I was selling candidates to companies. I continue to sell companies to candidates. Okay. But there's no choice of running away from business, okay, understanding business.
the concept of partnering with the business is always there. It has been there for years. But the thing is that how many people actually really get into that business HR or the business partner role is a question mark. So I think this is the time that we really need to look at getting into the business partnering role in HR, though it has been there in the function for quite some years. But I think this is an excellent learning experience for all of us. Look forward to more of this kind, Anish and Ajesh. Ajesh, thank you very much for all the framing of all the questions, and the entire script is made by Ajesh. Team, please appreciate Ajesh for the excellent strategic way he has actually put in everything together and made. Actually, me also, I'm thankful to you for making me a host. And thank you very much for your excellent participation. Once again, thanks, Achyut. We will continue to be in touch as usual. We are definitely
Thank you, sir.
connected.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I do hope I have added value to you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ajay
Yes, sir.
may have some announcements as well.
Yeah. Tomorrow we are coming up with a different topic. I'll share you. This is the topic: birds and citizen science. Why and how to engage with nature. Tomorrow's session is a special session. So the same times, 6:30 to 7:30, we have Dr. Suhail and Dr. Namir Pio. So all of them will be there to enjoy the session too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. See you all tomorrow.
See you
Thank you
guys.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Achyut. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Anish.
Thanks, Achyut.
Thank you all.